Okay folks, welcome to another Friday Waffle. I know what you're thinking. He keeps saying he's not going to do the Friday Waffle anymore, and I mean that. Well, I never technically said I'm not going to do it anymore. What I did say was unless I get questions, I'm going to knock it in the head. Though I'm sure some smart bastard is going to look at the waffle from 2 weeks ago and they're going to extract the bit where I did say I'm not going to do it anymore. But you know me, we can all change our mind. So anyway, I hope you're all well. I'm trying to do this fast because there's a couple of things I want to talk about and I know I'm going to forget, and I could technically write it down, but I don't because I'm never prepared. First one is I've had COVID again. Second time, I got it on, where was it? I was out on Saturday night at a sort of charity do thing, but I don't like to talk about it. And I was fine, I was absolutely fine until in my bed at night, I don't know, I just feel I didn't get the greatest sleep in the world. And then on Sunday, I woke up and I just felt like complete pants. I had that horrible, cold, shivery, didn't have any headache or anything, but just felt rubbish. Now, a guy at my work, he'd been off with COVID the week prior, but I know it wasn't him. It's funny how when you get COVID, you automatically try and figure out who it was. It could be anybody, it could be a bloody guy, it could be somebody passing by on a bike. Well, then again, I think you've got to be in contact with somebody for 15 minutes apparently, so getting it from somebody in Sainsbury's or Greggs is probably unlikely. Anyway, I got COVID, I did a test on Sunday, it was positive, and my first reaction was bollocks, because I've had a really busy week last week at work, and I thought to myself, I was kind of looking forward to going back to work because this is one of the guys who's off sick, so I was looking forward to getting back to work with a full kind of squad of people, and so that was my first thoughts. I thought, bollocks, can't go to work, can't go to Cooksoul, and the computer club was meant to be on Tuesday, so I couldn't go to that, but it was cancelled as well, so that's every cloud, as they say. So that's been that. What have I been doing with myself? Colin Jones, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know Colin. Colin's a good lad. He has been on at me for ages about getting a capture card. Now, I've heard of them, I know what they do, but I've had no interest in getting one because the chances of me streaming a PlayStation or not a PlayStation, the chances of me streaming a device that connects via HDMI is virtually zero. So I'd never bothered with one, but when I got this certain piece of hardware called a Mister, Colin said you should get one, and Del Boy and various other people said you should get one, and I thought, oh, I don't want one. And then when they told me the price of it, it was 30 odd quid, I bought it, and the problem is it was getting the functionality to connect it up to my monitor, because what I don't want to do is disconnect my monitor from my PC and then plug into the Mister and then have to connect it. You know what it's like, you piss about with cables and all that bollocks, so I didn't want to do that. But anyway, I was harassing Dell big style, trying to get him to help me. Well, we managed to get it connected up, and then I wanted to try OBS, which is an absolutely wonderful piece of software which you use for streaming and recording videos. It's really good, it's completely free. Dell helped me, he didn't help me, Dell set up for me practically over the phone, got it working. So anyway, that's enough of that. I've now got that working. I'm actually going to be doing a little cheeky half-hour live stream tonight, which is Thursday, though by the time you're watching this it will be at least tomorrow or thereafter, if that makes any sense. Rewind it and listen to what I said and it'll make perfect sense. So I'm going to try it. I keep saying to myself, I don't want to keep harping on about the Mister, But you know what, I'm one of these people, when I get excited about something, I want to tell everybody, I want to share it, and that's the thing, that's, you know what, I don't apologise about that, because, you know, I've been making videos for a long time. I love classic games. I mean, the fact that I've been doing this for 10 years. Quick segue, down the rabbit hole, Kevin started YouTube, I don't know, maybe 2 years after me, and I can always remember Kevin was one. He watched my channel, and then he started his own channel, and I can always remember I was giving him multiple shout outs, and I'm sure I remember trying to get him up to like 60 subscribers. Kevin has now surpassed me, so massive congratulations, Kevin. If you've never seen his channel, it's Down the Rabbit Hole, and it quite literally is down the rabbit hole. Kevin covers a plethora of different things. Kevin is a frustrated actor. You may have, if you've ever watched any of my What's in the Box videos, I've only done about 2, I think. Kevin, I pinched Kevin, one of Kevin's trailers for one of his videos, but Kevin's he's a lovely guy, he comes from Canada. I've met him and his wife, they came across to Scotland a couple of years ago. It's probably about 8 years ago. It's funny that you always, when you think of something, it's always a lot more than you imagined it to be. So anyway, Kevin's got a great channel. I will attempt to remember to put a link to his channel. Not that the bugger needs any shout outs from me, because he's got more subscribers than me. How did that happen? No, the reason it happened is because Kevin's got a really good channel. He doesn't limit himself to video games. He's massively into his kind of science fiction, his Star Wars. He goes to Comic-Cons, Star Trek. He does a bit of acting. He reviews beers. He reviews food. He does lots of little obscure videos, and he's probably the most diverse. He's like diverse channel out there. He's like one of these little shops that every town has, that quite literally sell everything. Kevin is that ironmongers. Kevin is to YouTube what an ironmonger is to a corner shop. They sell everything, absolutely everything. So what was I talking about? Can't remember. Can't remember what I was talking about. No idea, it's gone completely out of my head. Anyway, so yeah, the mister, I don't like to... I'm not apologising for talking about it, because if I get something that I get excited about, I want to tell people. Can I just say something? And this isn't, you're probably thinking, well, it's ridiculous, because, well, hear me out. I've got tons and tons and hundreds of thousands of ROMs which I can play on my computer. I can play them on my one of 3 MAME cabs. I can play it on my Steam Deck. You name it, I can play it. But the mister has completely reignited my love for gaming. And I think it's because it's set up on a small TV. It's not a PC, it's you've got this little device under your TV, and when you, I'm going to say switch on, I mean it's technically loading it. When you switch on a BBC core, you have got a BBC computer in front of you, and it's the same with any other system. And I've had tremendous fun over the last couple of weeks using it, just playing games. It's actually got me back into playing games. I mean, it's something that I would never do in the PC. I don't think I've ever fired up a Commodore 64 emulator just to play games for the sake of playing games. It's always been to record a video, to record, YouTube, whatever. But with the mister, it's completely reignited my love for gaming, and if that's not a big plus for me, I don't know what is. It's worked out far better than I thought it was going to. Don't get me wrong, I'm one of these people that I get something and I'll go, oh, this is great, and I want to tell everybody about it, and then a month later it's sitting getting unused. Case in point, Spectrum Next, which is why I don't have one. However, I do have a core for the Spectrum Next and the Mister, so in theory I'm not losing out. But honestly folks, I know there's critics of the Mister. I would say the only thing you could criticise is it's a lot of money compared to free, but like I say, for me personally, and this is just my opinion, which is obviously correct, it's been a shot in the arm for me as far as playing classic systems again. Even systems that I own the original of, you know, the Amiga, the C64, I can now play Texas Instruments again. I mean, I had a Texas, that was my first computer. I can now play games in that. It's great. Really can't. I can't emphasise how much fun I'm getting from the Mister. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. I can now, or hopefully I can stream the Mister. So I'm going to attempt to do that tonight. So by the time you're watching this, you'll know whether it was a success or an abject failure. Anything else gaming wise? I had other stuff to talk about and I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Anyway, I'll try and remember. I know it is only, we're only 10 minutes, so this will be an extremely short waffle because I've got to be, what do you call it? I've got 45 minutes to get this waffle finished and uploaded because I'm doing my live stream in 45 minutes. But yeah, apart from having COVID, not been doing a massive amount. I'll tell you one thing though, nothing to do with gaming. I've really noticed this week just the difference in light. Don't mean light in here, I mean light outside. I think because the weather has, touch wood, the weather seems to have improved to the point it's actually been quite mild, which is brilliant. And this week I've been out with the dogs and 6 o'clock at night, whereas a couple of weeks ago it would still be pitch dark, or at least it felt like it would still be pitch dark. But it feels like spring is just around the corner, and that makes me extremely happy. I was talking to my girlfriend a couple of nights ago, and she's actually she plays pool. I don't know why I'm looking there. She'll be looking there. She actually plays. She's been picked to play pool for Scotland. So she's away next week. All next week. She goes away on Saturday, and she's back Saturday. Way to play pool for Scotland, which is a wonderful achievement. And because of that, she's been. I mean, I don't see my girlfriend during the week. It's just the weekends. She's been practicing. She's been playing pool virtually every night last week, and when we speak at night, she'll be like, "What have you been up to?" And I went, "Oh, nothing." And then the next day, "What have you been up to?" "Oh, nothing." And because I've had COVID, obviously I couldn't go to cook school, so I quite literally have been up to nothing. But it kind of got me. I think because I've not been at work. I've been sitting in the house. It kind of got me. It made me quite miserable, and I was saying to myself, I used to be that guy that had something on every night. I was the guy that had loads of pals, and it kind of feels like that's kind of changed a wee bit. But the biggest change in my life, I think, is because the guy that I used to go out running with, I mean, I used to run at least four times a week, sometimes more. Was one of my mates, and because I don't run anymore, he doesn't run either. I've lost touch with him. I mean, I still see him. I do still see him, from time to time. But he's living with a girl now, and I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing in my life that's changed. So going from being out, 4 times a week to kind of never. I mean, I do go to my cook school, which I do enjoy. I mean, I've kind of been struggling on the cook school front for, I would say, a good couple of months for different reasons. I've not been able to get along as much as I wanted to. It's very rarely that I would say, "Oh, I can't be bothered going." There's always been a reason that stopped me going. And Now, when I started doing Cook School, it was because I wasn't doing my running. I was going to the gym, but you go to the local gym and it's full of the young team. It's all these 20-somethings. They're all on their phone. They're all posing. They're all looking in their mirrors and taking photographs of themselves. And it's not a sociable place, the gym. So then over a year ago, well, January 2021, I decided, January 2022 I should say, sorry. Yeah, January last year. I decided, my mate said to me, why didn't you take up a martial art? Why didn't you do Cook Soul? And so I started it, and part of the reason was to give me something to aim for, which it does do. But secondly, and probably more important than the keeping fit aspect, was it was going to give me a new sort of social life, new people to get to know, etc. And it has done that to a certain extent, but the problem is, I go to Cook Soul 3 times a week. You're only there for an hour and then you come home. So it's kind of similar to being in a gym. You're talking to other people, but you're only there for an hour and then you're home. So it's not the greatest when it comes to socialising. I mean, they do have events, going out for meals on the very, very odd occasion that I do at Christmas time, or the barbecue in the summer. But it's not really giving me the social side of things as much as I was wanting. Excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Which has been, I wouldn't say disappointing, but it's just made me really aware that I need to do something. If any of you guys have any ideas of stuff that maybe you lot do and you think you would enjoy that, me Meister, let me know. I mean, and following on from kind of that, I'm cutting back in my videos, and I still stand by that. I don't want to, just because I'm not going out as much, I don't want to increase the number of videos that I'm making, because I think that's wrong. I am hoping that with the weather getting better, the light's going to be out longer, and nights are going to get longer, or days are going to get longer I should say, that it's going to encourage me to get out my bike. I went out my bike on whatever day it was, yesterday. Yeah, I went out for a wee while yesterday. So that's good. I love being outside. So I think things will get better once I kind of start getting out again. But it's kind of got me thinking about other things I could do. I mean, I'm not very arty. I've always had a hankering to do a bit of acting. No, she's behind you. Oh no, she isn't. Oh yes, she is. I don't mean that kind of acting. I mean actual proper kind of acting. Like there's been a murder. I've always had a hankering to do that, but I don't know. If you can come up with any ideas for something, yeah, I expect some jokey replies, then let me know. Yeah, right, before I forget, Zap Alive. Let me just have a quick look. Chris Wilkins and Co is going to be they're having a Zap Live event down in Kenilworth, which is it's literally, I checked Google Maps and I think it works out at like 2,500 miles away for me. So yeah, it's not exactly on my doorstep. Let's have a quick look. Zap Live. I bought my tickets just the other day there. There we go. Zap Live. It's the 12th of August down in Kenilworth. Are you guys going to go? Let me know. I think Del Boy's definitely going, and a few of my other mates. I think probably Colin Jones is going to be there as well. But let me know if you're going to be going. I don't know anything about the event at all. I won't be working in it. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned to you previously, I've been asked to if I would like to do the talks again at Play Blackpool in October, so I have tentatively said yes. I'm hoping that, I mean, this will be the third time that I've worked there, and it's work. It is work. I don't care what anyone says. You're working. The first time I went, they gave me free tickets. Last year they gave me free tickets and they put me up in a hotel. If they want me to do it this year, they're going to have to get me free tickets, hotel and travel costs. I think that's the very least I can ask. Cover my costs. Why should I be out of pocket? You know what I mean? Because I think if I wasn't working, I don't think I would go. I say that every year and I'm always there. But talking of which, play Glasgow, and that's falling on, I think it's the 18th of June, and I'm actually away. I'm going to be supporting the runner at the West Highlandway race. I won't be there. That'll be the first one I've missed. I think there's been 2 or 3 prior to that. So anyway, right, listen, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to see if there's any what you call it, questions from last week's 2 weeks ago. Wait a minute. Your videos. Friday Waffle 17th. Yep, 17th of March. Now I think I did answer all the questions from the week before, so we'll see if there's any. Right, Charlie Angel, is there any video game you would like to be imagined as a board game or vice versa? I had Donkey Kong from my aunt at Christmas and loved it. You know what, I could never. Somebody's just replied, Samantha Fox strip poker. That's a joke, of course. That's a bloody good idea, actually. Yeah. Board game, video games. Or video game, yeah, it's got to be board game, video games. I mean, you can get the opposite. You can get video game versions of board games. I mean, you've got chess, you've got drafts, you've got battleships, possibly. You've got Monopoly, games like that. And was it MB Games, I think it was, they brought out a series of games now. You had Donkey Kong, you had Pac-Man, you had Berserk. Was there any other ones? I'm sure there were. I'm sure there was a few other ones. I can't for the life of me figure out how you could play a board game version of Pac-Man. Other than, I don't know, rolling a dice and you move and then the ghosts move a dice, they throw a dice, whatever. Weird one. I know, I think they're quite collectible actually. There's a lot of people that kind of like to collect these. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to know how it actually worked. Is there a game that would work as a board game? I mean, Berserk, how the hell can you play Berserk in a board game? It just doesn't make any sense. Oh man, I mean, can you imagine trying to play Robotron board game? It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work at all. I honestly can't. I can't think of any game. I mean, it would have to be. It would have to be a game that's got a mechanic, sort of like randomness, and you know, you roll a dice and you get a 6, and then you roll a dice for the computer and it gets a 3, whatever, something like that. I just can't. I honestly can't imagine or think of how an arcade game. If somebody's going to make a board game, then let's see Rolling Thunder, the board game. There you go. There's a challenge for you. How that would work, I'll be absolutely stuffed if I know. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciated, mate. Right, Satan. Question for next waffle. Well, 2 questions actually. The second one is a non-gaming question, and that's what I want you guys to remember. It doesn't have to be gaming related. Preferably, it would be, because it's technically a gaming channel. if you were to own any arcade cabinet that uses vector graphics, which one would you choose? For me, it would either be Asteroids or Star Castle. The obvious one that people would say, hang on a second, I'm just going to have a quick drink of my tea. The one that people always pick is Star Wars. Yeah, people always go about Star Wars being one of the best video games ever. It's a bloody good game, and it's a great, what do you call it, video game representation of a film. But it's not my favourite vector game. Oh, vector graphics. I think a game that I didn't understand, never played it, had no interest in it, but I now love it, although I'm crap, is Tempest. I mean, Tempest has got its colour vectors. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful looking game. So I think it would either be, I mean, other vector graphic games I'm not really into. Is it Red Baron, which is a kind of flight simulator. There's a great game called Black Widow, which is a twin stick shooter actually. That's a really good vector based game. Battlezone never really did much for me. Obviously you've got Asteroids, you've got Lunar Lander, you've got Asteroids, the first one and the second one. I think for me, I mean, it would have to be a toss up between Tempest and Asteroids, and I think I would probably go for Tempest because you can play a pretty good version of Asteroids on your PC. I've got a few arcade cabinets that do duplicate vectors pretty well. You know, they're not as nice, obviously, but the thing about Tempest, it's coloured graphics, and secondly, I don't think, does the main version of Tempest have coloured graphics? I don't think it does. I think it's all monotone. But the big thing about Tempest is you need the spinner, which is the controller. So yeah, it would 100% be Tempest. And part 2 of Mr. Satan's questions. What are your favourite and least favourite flavours of crisps? I don't think I've actually ever been asked that. Man. I mean, there was flavours of crisps which I loved back in the 70s and 80s, which they don't make anymore, like KP. I think KP are now owned by Walkers, so they don't taste the same. I mean, if I'm going to tell you about flavours of crisps that don't exist, the original beef by KP, they were brilliant. Golden Wonder cheese and onion. Now I know you can buy Golden Wonder cheese and onion, the classic flavours, but they don't taste the same. They tasted different. They probably had lots of bad things in it back in the 70s. But yeah, Golden Wonder cheese and onion, KP beef, they would be my 2 favourite flavours that you can't get anymore. Now, you know, it's interesting. You don't get Walker's beef, do you? Why not? Am I missing something? Have I completely missed something? You get Walker's cheese and onion. You get obviously plain. You get ready salted. You get chicken. Do you get Worcester sauce? I'm not too sure. Do you get Walker's beef? I don't think you do. Favourite crisps, flavours. I don't think I've really got a particular favourite anymore. I mean, it's Walkers or Walkers, you know what I mean, whereas you had loads of different choices. I do, it's probably going to be Walker's cheese and onion, but I wouldn't say it's the least of a bad bunch. I'm not a massive fan of them. I mean, it's like, I don't get excited when it comes to eating crisps. I do like the Sensations chili, whatever it is. Can't remember the name. Is it sweet chili? Can't remember. But yeah, I'm going to go for Walker's cheese and onion. But no, it would have to be KP beef, and yeah, that would be my favourite. Then followed closely by Golden Wonder cheese and onion. The least favourite flavour for me would be pickled onion. Oh, no, I don't mind. A push, I'll eat salt and vinegar, but pickled onion, nah, not for me at all. Listen, just before I forget, thanks Satan, by the way. Before I move on, I've got another couple of questions to go. I picked up a game that a mate of mine's is a game designer. He's an indie game designer. He's done little games for iOS and what have you. And he was going on about a game called Super Video Golf, I think it's called. He was saying he's been playing it constantly, so I bought it. And it looks shite. It looks like a cross between a Commodore 64 and an Amiga golf game. It plays quite like I don't know if you remember Microprose Golf on the Amiga. It looks as rough as anything, but it plays nice. But you know what, it's such a simplistic game. You can play up to 4 people at the same time. I think it's £8.71. So I bought it for myself and a mate, and we were playing it, and we had great fun. We played 9 holes. So I'm gonna do a video of me and my mate playing it, and then I'm going to stick the video up, and hopefully that will entice some of you guys to want to get involved. So yeah, anyway, right, back to the questions. I'm conscious this battery's probably going to run out. So, Milthy Swinbuckle, hello again, Main Meister. Firstly, Milthy, I was sorry to hear about your being unsuccessful, mate. I don't want to say any more than that, but I apologise, or sorry for hearing that you were unsuccessful last week. Keep at it, mate. You're a good man and you'll absolutely get something. What film do you think you've watched the most and why? That is an easy one. Planes, Trains and Automobiles. And the reason I watch it all the time is because I love John Candy, love Steve Martin. I think they're both fantastic actors, but the most important reason is it makes me happy. I keep staring at that, and I should be staring at that. It makes me happy, it makes me smile, it makes me laugh. So there's been times where I'm thinking I'm going to watch a new film and I'll put the latest Marvel film on. I get 10 minutes in, I think, fuck that, put it off, Planes, Trains, there we go. So nice and easy. Secondly, are there any of the older games that you think are made better by modern controls or controllers, or perhaps by some clever piece of code that lets you map the controls to something else, or even completely changes the original controls? As an example, the MAME that I'm using at the moment when playing Defender lets you simply push the cursor keys to move, so there is no having to master loads of buttons like the arcade cab. You know what, Melfi, it's a good point, and that's why when I was doing my emulation sort of special with Delboy, I was, emulation is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and it allows you to play games using better controllers. As far as MAME goes, I can't think. I mean, there's one game, Tekken World Cup. Can't remember who. Oh, Tekken. There you go. I've just answered my own question. Yeah, it's a top-down football game, very similar to Microprose Soccer. In fact, Microprose Soccer was based on it. You had to use a trackball to control the controllers, and you can imagine having to bash this bloody bowling ball with your hand. You get a really sore wrist, and it's not what you're thinking. At least I got a sore wrist. But yeah, playing it now, it doesn't make it better, it makes it much easier. Instead of having to thrash the bowling ball trackball, you can just use the joystick and you run at 100 miles an hour all the time. So yeah, that's not really making it better, it's just making it easier. But can't think of any other arcade games really, but there's a lot of old systems. Things like the original Game Boy, Game Boy Lynx, Atari Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket, Sega Game Gear. These were all handhelds, and the screens that they had, apart from the, I was going to say, yeah, no, the Lynx and the Game Gear did have backlit screens, but looking at them now, they are awful. I mean, I bought a Game Gear maybe about 5 years ago, and I couldn't believe how piss poor the picture was. And at that point I thought, if I'm ever going to play a handheld on an Atari handheld, or like a Lynx game, I'm going to use a modern thing. So the most modern thing I've got handheld wise is the Steam Deck, and it's beautiful getting to play like Tetris on the Game Boy, or Double Dragon, or any game that was on these systems, instead of using some shitty gamepad on a tiny little screen. In the case of like the Game Boy Advance, you couldn't see the screen. You quite simply could not see the screen because there was no backlit screen. You tend to forget that 20 years ago backlit screens were not a thing. I mean, the Game Gear and Atari Lynx, they just ate batteries like nothing on earth because of, they're just very, very uneconomical. But yeah, if I'm going to play any one of these handheld games, I'm going to use a modern thing, because you've got a much better screen and better controls. And so thank you, Milfy. And last one, I don't know, is there a question in here from Colin? Yeah, there we go. Whoops a daisy. Yeah, as I mentioned last week, I've actually sold my Amiga. I don't miss it. Would I like to have kept it? Of course I would, but I didn't want to. I didn't see the point in hanging on to it. Never play it, never use it. I can play Amiga games on a plethora of different things. Just another example of new technology actually enhancing gaming, old style gaming. Anyway, that's what's Colin saying. Amiga, I guess that's the difference. As I watch and type, I actually have my Amiga set up. The Mister does indeed do a wonderful job if it's just the games and demos you're interested in, and it can also be an Amiga 500, which the 1200 can't. Capture sorted, I know. Right, anyways, alright, okay, he's telling me how to set it up, so brilliant. Right, Waffle question, what would you think about a weekly fortnight tour of all the computer museums and arcade club types in the UK? Ah, you mean getting a road trip? You know what, Colin? That's a fucking fantastic idea. It's an absolute brilliant idea. That really is. That is a brilliant idea. Think about it. We could hire a minibus, and we could get maybe 10 people and just drive and go to all these places. You know what? Let's make that happen. That has got to happen. I think the chances of me getting to do that this year is pretty slim. I've got quite a few things on this year, and money's a wee bit tight because I got my bathroom done up recently, so I've got to pay for that. But you know what? I think that is. I mean, Colin is saying here, not a plan, just a pipe dream. Why should it be a pipe dream, Colin? Why can we not get a group of people that want to take a week off their work and will drive about the UK and go to all these places? I mean, I'd love to go to the Computing History Museum, all these places, arcade club, we could go to all the arcade clubs. That is an absolutely fantastic idea, Colin, and you know what, I'm going to make that happen 100%. Yeah, brilliant. Right, listen folks, I'm going to get going before the battery runs out on my camera. Sorry for, I'm saying a slightly shorter waffle. It's going to, by the time I do my little outro bit, it's going to be 40 minutes. So yeah, listen, a massive thanks to the new subscribers, because I noticed my sub level was stuck. It was absolutely stuck for what felt like about 2 months. And then in the last couple of days, it's shot up by about 8 subscribers. I don't know why that happens. It does obviously happen from time to time. So massive thanks to anyone that's just subscribed to the channel in the last couple of days. I do appreciate it. Yeah, so anyway, listen, I'm going to get going. I hope you all have a great weekend. And finally, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Look at the camera. See you.